Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome back to episode 2 of the High Spirit building series. Thank you for all of the support on the first episode. I've got some naughty plans for this one using a blue and white colour scheme. As I said in the last episode, I want to make the intro feel more open, to be more enclosed in this ship part, and then the rest of the level is going to be a release. So I think blue and white is going to be an appropriate colour scheme to use. We're going to set the background to the plane. And honestly, this shade might just work out. Alright, as you can see right now, I have created a base for all of these objects. They're on B4 and 1 on the Z order. And I'm going to steal the background color, make a new color channel. I'm going to use 5 because it's nice and memorable. I'm going to stick these on 5, then I'm going to change the background to white. Then on B3 and 1, I want to create a low opacity black overlay, which means we're going to have to give this a group. It's using color channel 9, which is on black. Then this alpha trigger right here is going to set it down to about 30%, I'm going to say. We will move this overlay up like so. That seems about enough for me. So at the very beginning of the level, there is a move trigger that locks it to the x-axis forever. But before that, I need to offset it to the left by about 10 blocks, just so when I spawn in, the left side of the screen is covered. Okay, so with the same object, I've just tweaked the colors up a little bit to make it look nice and bright. So the black overlay is now set to 10% opacity with the right group this time. I put it on group 9 by accident. You probably clocked that. I also changed the shade of color 5 to be a lot more bright. Then to uplift this color scheme, I'm going to select that entire overlay, copy paste, give it a new group, add a new editor layer and put it on T1 and 1. Using color 2, which I've put on white blending, this overlay is going to fade off at the very beginning for about a second, then gradually as the level goes on, it will fade to a low opacity just to uplift the color and make the white tie in with the blue a bit more. I've just made a quick fix. I changed this alpha trigger to group 8 instead of group 6 because every single thing that was moving on the x-axis got changed in opacity when I don't want that. So now this previous overlay has group 8 added to it as well, and this new overlay is now working. Before it was on 0.1 opacity, then it was set to like 0.3 opacity, so basically it was 0.2 opacity, it was basically invisible. So I think that intro is starting to look quite dreamy on the fade in. It goes hand in hand with the sparkling sounds in the song, I think. I've made a further change to put the blending screen on T2 instead of T1, which means that all of the objects are affected, even the ones covering that block design. There we go. That is a nice smooth fade to white. This isn't going to turn off, so I'm going to die in a second. Okay, so now you're going to see the reason that this darkening screen is going to come into play. So, on editor layer 4, there are now some white blending glow strips that are on B3, group 6, and group 9. Group 6 is the collective lock to X move trigger, and then Group 9 changes it to 30% opacity and also chucks it on a screen with a nice easing, goes minus 20 blocks in 5 seconds. So now there's a clean looking glow strip effect everywhere in the blue space. All I gotta do is turn off the regular objects because it's kind of obstructing that at the moment. I think now I need to adjust this alpha trigger to put more opacity on the black screen because I feel like the level is far too bright at the moment. There we go, that's turning it back down a notch. But this gets uplifted anyway with the white screen, especially in the following transition to the dash orb, like so. Sweet. Now we set all of the original gameplay objects to group 1, which makes them invisible. I think I have quite successfully achieved the look of ice with these objects. I've got the shine of the blue, and I've also got a nice grey to complement it, and then it gets brighter right here as it gets more snowy. I'm going to make a new color channel on color 3, which copies the color of the background, which is white, but it's handy to have this. Using this color channel, we're going to place down some objects that are on B4 and 2 so that they display above the blocks and behind the dark overlay. We could just make a glow staircase and then mesh it together like so, put it at the edge of the block, give it group 10, and then make an alpha trigger for 10 that sets it to about 30% opacity. I'm going to put 0.35. Then we can just place this gradient piece pretty much on all of the blocks. In sloped objects like these, I could just copy paste them. It doesn't even matter if it hangs over the side because it's on the background color. So that means I don't have to be too neat about how I place this on the object as long as it's consistent. Boom, so I've placed this overlay on most of the objects, then I can go back round on editor layer 1 and just delete all of the objects that don't fall within that range. And the result of this is that the level now looks a little bit shrouded, which I like. I like that it's fading off into the light. On the very top of B3, I'm going to be adding objects of this shape with color channel 1 on both the base and the detail. And I'm just going to free move these into a nice looking place. I'm going to be free moving these into nice looking places, but first I need to copy the values, go to editor layer 8, place a glow piece, add the editor layer back to 8, then I need to go into the settings, enable link controls, and we'll just add both of these onto the same link. Now I can select this and free move it into a nice looking place on the edge of the object, and these are kind of going to be scattered into different places. None of them so the spikes can actually kill you, but I want to just have them cluttered around the edges of the blocks to make a quite original looking aesthetic to the blocks, if you know what I mean. I think it's looking pretty good. Now I hope you can see why I've got the black screen overlay in between these objects and the background. You can see the contrast between the white and the grey. It looks really nice, I think. I'm really impressed with the way it's going. I like how the glow pieces on top of these objects get brighter with the blending screen overlay that I've got. You'll see as we get to the end of this ball part, the glow gets really bright. You can definitely see it at the end there. I want to make these objects wobble up and down. I'm going to start by selecting every second object on the bottom set of the blocks. It's important that I see the top and the bottom separately because I don't want the spikes to get in the way of the gameplay. You know, it could just kill you for no reason. And I don't want any inconsistencies, so I'm going to add this to a group. Then I'm going to put these on editor layer 9 so they're separated. And this group is, what, 11? So 11 is going to move down first so it doesn't go up into the way of the gameplay. I've set up a move trigger for these objects that moves them 8 down in 2 seconds. There's also a new group 12, which is the remaining bottom groups, so the ones on 7 still. It's got the same values, it's just offset a little bit from the other trigger to make it wobbly properly. Once that process is repeated, they're going to kind of float there, as you can see. So now I'm going to do the same thing just with the top half. Just need to make sure these are evenly spaced. Then I can set them to positive 8 instead of negative first. Then I need to change the group IDs to 13 and 14. Here we go. Now they're all appearing to float. This is really weird to look at. I don't know. Oh man, I'm gonna have to have some other white details that can tie in with this, or maybe some other moving, floating details. I don't know. 15 is gonna be a universal half opacity group. I want to put it on some pulsing circles that use group 5 on the bottom of the bottom. I'm going to add to that right now by scaling up a glow piece to 2 times, pasting the state of that exact circle, and just putting it right on top of the orb again. We'll just make the circle 1.25 instead, and that should also display that glow effect on top. It does. Sweet. That's adding a bit of depth to it, I think, because I'm using it with different opacities. I think that's making it fit in a lot better, and I really like how that glow makes it appear differently. It actually does look quite icy as it passes over the glow because the whole thing gets tinted. Underneath single blocked object, I'm going to copy the values of those circles and just connect those mini hexagon pieces underneath. I think that's going to fit in quite nicely with the whole icy vibe. You know what they kind of remind me of? In Mario Galaxy, when you go ice skating and you get the ice flower power-up thing. These kind of remind me of those tiles that you put down whenever you step on water. I don't know, that's just kind of a mini Easter egg thing I'm putting into the level. Sweet! I think it actually works. Let's go. I tried adding some little triangles that pulse in the background. Let's try less opacity and more triangles. I feel like that might be a ticket to go. That actually kind of works. It looks a little bit crystallized in the background, which definitely helps it stop looking so bare. But I kind of like that open feel. Towards the end, when the white screen becomes really opaque, I feel like the blue kind of gets overshadowed. So I kind of want to make a pulse trigger that changes blue on a really long fade time, don't get me wrong, to like a really deep blue instead. Like, what can go wrong with a deeper blue? I don't know. That's too much, I feel. But if, that's the move trigger, that's not color trigger. If I change it to a more reasonable blue, that could be good. So I've got an idea for some spikes on the edges of the blocks. I kind of want to just space out some little blue decoration pieces on B4 quite high up. I think they're going to have to be low opacity, but I want to test this out in game first, just to make sure it's not a problem, it's not messy. As long as there's not too many, it shouldn't be an issue, and as long as they don't cross over with those little spiky things that I added. I'm probably going to wrap up the episode after I put these in. Trust me, there will be more variation in this level. It's not going to be this boring. I will try some more effects and some different glow techniques. I know this episode wasn't all singing and dancing and brilliant, but I hope you can appreciate that I've tried to do something original with it. But yeah, I think that's it for this part. I could add some air decoration, but I like the idea of it being open, and I don't want to clutter the triangles in the background. Also, in this ball part, you'll notice that I've tried some stuff with the ground and the lines. It fades to white. I don't know, I just think it's pretty neat. But yeah, that's it for Building with Wulzy episode 2. I really am trying something different with High Spirit. I've got some different plans for the other parts with different colour formats, different glow formats, different designs in general. I know there wasn't really much design in that, but I tried something with the spiky object overlaying the base blocks. Yeah. Thank you for watching this Geometry Dash building video. Check the links in the description, leave a like and subscribe, and have a good day.